to support the platform just in case anything like this happens again, you can do it by way of PayPal, Patreon, Cash App, and also by the Anchor. And you can also further support the platform by way of going to the Teespring store or the shoe store that is located in the comment section below. An additional 700,000 yen, approximately $5,339, was added to what was originally 300,000 yen, approximately $2,288, due to the heightened concentration of people in the country's capital, with a population of 125.7 million. 28% of Japan's population, approximately 35 million, is focused in Tokyo and its neighboring areas of Kanagawa, Saitama, and Chiba. The Japanese government's fears of overcrowding stem from an increased risk for potential earthquakes. Back in 2019, Japan's headquarters for earthquake research promotion emphasized a 47% chance of a strong earthquake in Tokyo within the next 30 years. Official fears were confirmed this October when a 6.1 magnitude earthquake struck Japan's capital. And in March, Japan's northeast coast faced a 7.4 magnitude earthquake, leaving 4 dead and thousands without power in the main metropolitan area, as well as those in neighboring areas, to relocate to Japan's regional areas. Families who take part in this relocation program may move to host municipalities, towns with local governments, or mountainous regions in Tokyo and its neighboring areas. However, to receive the government's offer of 1 million yen per child, recipients will be required to live in the relocated area for a minimum of 5 years while employed. Those who fail to adhere to the requirements will be asked to return the money. In adherence to the government's goal, approximately 1,300 municipalities took part in the relocation program in 2022. However, only 2,381 recipients have participated in relocation efforts since 2019. In addition to the relocation program, the Japanese government also presented a stalled program for proposal to develop Osaka as a second capital in 2011. And in 2019, the government also relocated the Consumer Affairs Agency to the island of Shikoku. However, despite overpopulation concerns in Japan's major cities, the country faces a rapidly declining birth rate. The birth count for 2022 is expected to fall below the previous year's record low of 811,000 births in what Chief Cabinet Secretary Hirokazu Matsuno described as a critical situation. Although the government has attempted to encourage its younger population to reproduce through payments of subsidies, many have pointed to high living costs, corporate culture, difficult economic conditions, lack of inclusivity, and individual freedom as reasons against marriage and childbirth. So, this is in a sense what a decline in birth rate looks like. This is what it looks like when you have, and this is a grouping of people, right? All in one area. And both sides are like, hey, well, you know, the birth rate is what it is. I'm not really trying to get married. I'm not really trying to sit up there and date. And we're just both going to sit up there and stay abstinent. Work life is, whatever it is. We'll, just make things manageable. We'll just be, cordial to one another, right? This is what that looks like. And it was also stated in another article that by 2065, Japan's population could dip from 127 million people to 82 million, right? And that was stated by Japan's National Institute of Population and Social Security Research. In another part of the article, they stated that in 2014, Japan's birth rate hit a record low at just over 1 million infants. That same year, that saw 1.3 million deaths. And to my knowledge, I could stand corrected. Now, to my knowledge, over in Japan, they're not having any type of a gender war where it's men versus women and all of this other type of stuff. It's just the fact that people are like, well, things are a little bit too expensive. Marriage, in a sense, it does have a cost. It does have a price. Bringing a child into this world, it does have a cost. as well, on top of the fact of living situation, on top of the fact of how much money we are both able to make, on top of the fact of the stressors that we will both have to face and yada yada yada. People are just like, hey, this is just something that we just don't want to do. This is something that both men and women have agreed to, in a sense, do. And the one main reason I'm focusing on is because this is not the first time that I've touched on the fact that you have a lot of Asian countries suffering with a low birth rate, a decline in the rate, and an increase in amount of the deaths that they are having versus the births, or the increase in adult diapers versus the decrease in children being born. You can, in a sense, put this to the effect of Black Americans, where you, in a sense, have what you would consider a gender war, in a sense, taking place, going on. Who, in a sense, started it? Who put it directly out there? I don't know. I frankly don't care at this moment in time, because it is now in the hands of Black people, and Black people are doing a very great job at, in a sense, keeping that type of thing, in a sense, going, not really trying to come to a middle ground, not trying to really fix anything. You just have the loudest, the smallest minority have the loudest voices when it comes to this topic. Again, it doesn't really encompass the whole general public when it comes to Black America, but it seems as though it fits within that narrative due to the fact of the people that have platforms, that have amassed numbers, the amount of videos that are directly out there, and how it is that the narrative can be swayed, how it can go here and it can go there. And this is, in a sense, a glimpse of what it could look like for Black Americans. You have a lot of people out there, preferably on the other side of the spectrum, that will decide to state that, oh, well, if if this same thing would happen in the Black community, it would be great because Black women ain't really trying to have kids and yada 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 and all this other type of stuff, right? You would have a lot of those out there that would applaud, and that would be ecstatic, that would be happy if this exact same thing took place with Black Americans. The problem with that is we don't have 130 million Black Americans. We don't have 82 million Black Americans. Literally, if this were to take place for the same amount of time that this has been taking place in Japan, we would not have a Black population here. A Black population would not, it would barely even exist. We would probably have a smaller population than both the Native Americans and the Asian and Pacific Islanders combined. That's pretty much where we would actually be. And you have a lot of people out there that's like, hey, I would be happy. I would be completely fine with that. Like I said, then those people need to, ship themselves off to an island or go somewhere else in the world and be happy just being the only person there, instead of trying to focus and trying to get the rest of you know Black America to, in a sense, feel the exact same way. So, like I said, again, people need to be very careful of the things that they wish for and that they are specifically asking for, because a lot of individuals out here don't know any of which that they are talking about, of which they are trying to push people in this certain type of direction. Like I said, I pretty much, I do feel sorry for Japan, and the fact that Japan is actually going through this due to the fact that they've actually had to go through so much over the years. It's kind of jacked. um but hopefully they're able to figure something out. They have a lot of things out there where they're trying to incentivize people to actually procreate more, to get married more. And they're literally doing everything in their power to try to raise their birth rates, and people are really just not going for it. So only time will tell. 20, I think, what was it, 2068 or what have you, is not, in a sense, that far. If you really break it down by decades, it's not that far. If you look at how fast time has actually been moving, it's it's a distance, but it ain't that much of a distance. So we will see what everything will, look like pretty soon. You can just put the marker at 2030, 2035, and, in a sense, look at what Japanese populations will look like at that moment in time. You can do the same thing for the Koreans as well. I think last on the list would actually be the Chinese due to the fact that they have a pretty high population, but even they are also they want people to make more children. So, like I said, only time will tell, and we will see what specifically will take place.